All right. Well, it is the top of the hour. It's 11 o'clock Eastern here in Philadelphia. And I'm so excited to introduce everyone to the brand new State of High Volume Hiring 2025 Industry Benchmarks and Insights Report. We announced that we were putting together the first ever State of High Volume Hiring at IM Phenom earlier this year. And Cassie and I introduced you to the idea of turning up the volume on high volume hiring and rocking high volume hiring. And now it's here. The report is here. So let me advance the slides here and we'll get going. So like I said, I'm Bill Ventiker. I'm our Director of Product Marketing for High Volume Hiring and Industry Solutions here at Phenom. And Cassie Dunn is here with me. Cassie, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cassie Dunn. I'm the Principal Product Manager for Hiring Automation here at Phenom. We're glad to be here with you today.
So as many of you have probably seen before, our purpose at Phenom is to help 1 billion people find the right work. For our customers in many of the industries that rely on frontline and hourly workers, not only are we trying to help 1 billion people find the right work, but we're helping our customers hire the right workers as fast as possible when they have high volume hiring demands and seasonality demands. So we're going to go over our brand new report that really looks at high volume hiring from a job seeker point of view. Today, we are going to talk to you about what high volume hiring is and why it matters. We'll break down what did we measure and how did the industries compare that are tackling high volume hiring every single day. How did we build this report? How did we audit and measure how companies across the country are performing? What were some of the bright spots that we uncovered? What are the challenges that we found are common amongst the companies in all these different industries? And then we'll give you a sneak peek at where the companies stand and how the rankings are distributed across all of those companies that we audited. And then we'll wrap up and we'll give you some actionable insights. We'll share with you how to improve high volume hiring and the tools that you should be thinking about. And we'll give you all the resources you need to join this revolution and take your company to the next level when it comes to high volume hiring. So Cassie, why don't you kick us off? Tell our audience a little bit of Phenom's point of view about why high volume hiring matters and why we spend so much time and energy developing products that tackles this challenge for our customers.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. So high volume hiring is so critical in the workforce today. As a former recruiter, just being able to go through large amounts of candidates, be able to process those, get them through quickly, give them a good candidate experience, it can be really overwhelming. So how are we defining high volume hiring? And really, high volume hiring is just the process of engaging and converting a large quantity of candidates. This could be you have positions that you post that you may get 200, 300, 400 candidates that come through. We have some clients that get somewhere upwards of 15,000, 16,000 on particular requisitions. Or it could be that you have positions, you have a high volume of positions, and when candidates apply, you need to get them through as quickly as possible. We know that this could be different for every organization. It could be seasonal hiring. It could be short-term. You think about our friends in like the fishing industries, they're very seasonal. They may need to hire 3,000 people in a couple of months, but just for a 4 or 5 month stint. So there are many different use cases. All of our healthcare clients that are trying to keep up with nurse hiring and keep everything moving in the industry. It's so critical. It can very much consume our time, consume all of our efforts. And so it is so critical in our industries to really think about high volume hiring and how we manage it.
So take that a little further for us. Tell us a little bit about, why it's so vital to do this quickly, to bring in these hourly and frontline workers as fast as possible and be able to actually focus on quality as well as quantity?
Yeah, that's a great question, Bill. So in our industries, our frontline workers are the ones that are engaging with your customers. They are the ones getting product out the doors. They are those treating patients, those that are going into patient homes. They are those that are doing oil changes or that are manning car washes. Without those people, your businesses don't run. Um, Call centers, if there's not people to answer the phones, then your customers aren't getting the support they need. They get a bad impression of your company and they get discouraged and they go elsewhere. So having workers staffed appropriately to be able to support your clients, your customers is critical. We know that it's expensive to replace frontline workers or to continually have turnover. It's expensive to invest in people that may quit the first 2, 4, 6 weeks because maybe they didn't fully understand the position or what they were getting into. This is why high volume hiring is so critical. And it's critical not just to get people in the door, but it's important to get people, the right people in the door, to be able to filter through that mass amount of candidates to find the ones that are your highest potential, that are most likely to stay, that are most likely to continue. So you're reducing your cost to train. You're reducing the expense of wearing out the workers that you have because they're covering for themselves and maybe another vacant role.
Mm-hmm.
And you are getting people that are there to support your customers, whether that be through shipping or through warehousing or retail or being a cook in a store or a restaurant, sorry. But having those people there to provide the service or the product to your customers is critical. Without them, our businesses just don't move. So we wanted
It's
to
great to
take,
hear your insight on that. Yeah, it's
yeah,
so
no,
great to hear your insight on all of that. And I think that we'll jump into all of the details of the report and how we measured the effectiveness of high volume hiring and how companies are adopting AI and automation to help solve this problem. But I think that everyone that's attending the call today is looking at this from their own industry's point of view. So I
mhm.
think what we'll do next is we'll jump right into a sneak peek of some of the industry specific results that we uncovered while we were doing the audit. And I'll let you start with retail, and maybe we can bounce back and forth and share a couple of sneak peeks at that data.
Yeah, that sounds great. So retail, so overall, what we found in this study is that our retail organizations had scored pretty high. They were the highest average in our 2025 report that's getting ready to come out. Of the 5 industries, they were the highest scoring. 54% of retail companies ranked advanced or transformational on the high volume hiring maturity matrix. Those were the highest scores that we were offering. So we know for retail, this is top of mind for you all. This is what you're thinking of. This is how you're getting those individuals to pick product in your stores, to be able to service your customers, to be able to stock products. We know that this has to be top of mind because you all are scoring so high on these indices. 13% of retail companies allowed a job seeker to apply for a job entirely within the chatbot. This was an interesting metric in our report. We know that being able to do things quickly on mobile is imperative for retail clients. Most of these people are on the go. They are applying to jobs between going to jobs. They are applying to jobs between classes. They are applying to jobs as they are going about their day-to-day lives. They don't necessarily typically sit down and engage with a website. So having that chatbot where they could ask questions or complete a full job apply was pretty critical. And 13% of you are already allowing the job seekers to do that. That's a big opportunity though for the rest of you to be able to really enable that experience for your candidates, because sometimes they just want to ask a quick question. They want to be able to just interact with a chatbot, get a quick answer, fill out an application, and go on with their lives. They don't want to necessarily spend 45 minutes applying for a job.
And I think a lot of our attendees wouldn't be surprised to see that retail and hospitality and travel are kind of leading in these categories because of the sheer numbers of people that are required to deliver those customer experiences that they're looking for. And it's really interesting to see how companies are investing in that kind of technology that can allow an application from end to end without ever creating a username and a password, just right there in the chatbot. Go ahead and I'll pass it back to you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that was great. And especially in this era, we try to automate things in stores, self-checkouts or, automations in the kitchens for hospitality. I know we're talking about retail right now, but you still have people interactions. You still are handing food out of a window. You are still supporting through customer service, people that come into a retail store. You're still helping people pick out product. If you're in a small format store, there's always going to be the need for people in retail. And so getting the right people in the door and in front of your customers just is so critical. So another interesting metric we saw with retail is 22% of companies allowed candidates to upload a resume in the chatbot to help them find the best opportunities. So that could have been they uploaded the resume to match to job opportunities. That could be they were in the application process, were allowed to upload a resume through the chatbot. So, but that means that about 78% of you don't have that ability today. That is really one critical opportunity in retail. Now, we know that most entry-level retail clients candidates maybe don't have a resume. They just want to enter some basic information, but some do, and they want to have that ability to be able to match to jobs or at least put in some information to match to a job. So definitely,
it's all about speed, right? Even if they only have a basic resume, the fact that you can upload something in chat that you have on your phone and be able to complete it in a matter of seconds rather than having to type everything in is so powerful. Yeah,
that experience of work experience after work experience and years and all of that can be very tedious. And that's where we do see a lot of drop off in application rates in retail.
Well, we have 4 more industries we wanted to go over, and we definitely want to jump into how we built this report. So let's jump forward and talk about the next one, and we'll do these. We'll kind of pass these back and forth and do this kind of in a quick approach. So let's talk about hospitality and travel. We actually audited all of the major airlines in the United States and combined that with the numbers around restaurants and hotels, because they all seem to have a lot in common when it comes to service and experience. And you can see their scores from a state of high volume hiring perspective are right there with retail. They averaged 160 in the report. We'll show you some of the features that we measured on, but 3 of the companies in hospitality and travel ended up being some of the highest scores out of all 101 companies, which is really powerful. 58% of the companies that we audited in this industry have a maturity ranking of developing, which is our middle of the road when it comes to their overall maturity when it comes to adopting AI and automation. So businesses in this industry have this huge opportunity to stand out from their peers by investing in this kind of capability and this kind of technology. But it also shows that for all of the advancements that hospitality and travel companies are making in AI and automation, there's still a lot of room to grow, to take it from I'm really getting started at this to I'm going to do this from end to end and speed up this entire process. And we saw that hospitality and travel companies overall had the highest percentage of total usage of a chatbot. The chatbots that are on career sites that can engage with candidates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even if recruiters or hiring managers aren't in there ready to respond to somebody. But we found that only 1/3 of those companies allowed that chatbot to complete that engagement and schedule an interview for a highly qualified candidate that's going through the application process. Really interesting stuff there. Cassie, why don't you handle healthcare?
Yeah, so healthcare was really interesting. In our research, we found that there were 2 hospital systems that scored below average and were ranked as emerging. Really, this reflected that they're not really taking advantage of the tools and technology. I know we find sometimes they're just not sure where to start, especially hospitals that are running lean and are trying to get people through as quick as possible. So hopefully this will provide some insights on some different ways that we can automate. 3 of the pharmaceutical organizations scored in the top 35%. So we know for pharmaceutical manufacturing, maybe this is more top of mind, which makes sense. You think about lean manufacturing and different ways to expedite and automate their production definitely translates to hiring. So we kind of saw that hospital systems kind of ranked on the lower end and the pharmaceutical manufacturing companies ranked a little bit on the higher end for healthcare. Only 11% of healthcare organizations offered the ability to schedule an interview using automation, even though 39% used a chatbot. This was a really interesting metric. So it looks like healthcare, you all are utilizing it more for questions, answering, client support or candidate support, but maybe not necessarily in automating the process and being able to auto schedule those highly qualified leads. And then 17% of healthcare organizations allowed a candidate to upload a resume in chat. So while in retail, we know that most retail frontline don't necessarily have a resume, most nurses do. And so only 17% of you are allowing them to upload a resume in the chatbot. So definitely an area that maybe we could consider some automation or some features enhancements to be able to allow the nurse to be able to upload a resume and match to jobs and then go through the apply process without having to enter lots of experience and background and certifications. So Bill, you want to go on?
There's great opportunity there. And I think that, healthcare has been in this constant battle to modernize their technology, to digitize their records, to change the way that they're managing healthcare. And I think this is right at the beginning stages of really changing the way that healthcare companies attract and hire the best staff. Pharmaceutical is more of a technologically advanced group when it comes to healthcare, and they show in this report that they score higher than the hospital organizations. But we absolutely love to see the large number of companies that are trusting Phenom from a healthcare provider perspective already today. And we would love to talk to more healthcare companies about how we can help with that high volume hiring. Cool. So let's hit on these last 2. So manufacturing, looks like our percentage jumped off the screen there, but manufacturing, of course, is already seeing huge investments in automation to speed up the way that products are developed, produced, and delivered to customers. AI and automation in hiring is also seeing some adoption, but there's a lot of room to grow. 48% of the manufacturing companies that we audited had that advanced search capability on their career site that matches candidates with the relevant jobs based on how far away they are from a location, or what types of skills and certifications they have and what jobs are available that are the best fit for them. 43% of manufacturing companies are using a chatbot, we found in the report. And there's lots of opportunity being provided to candidates to ask questions and get answers and get matched with jobs based on what's important to them and how that can shorten or change their lives when it comes to commute time and that kind of stuff. 71% had detailed and curated media and videos that really is introducing manufacturing to the next generation of frontline workers and shows what a day in the life would be like for those people. And 10% used an assessment to go even further beyond just the normal screening that happens in the application process and really find candidates that were the best fit, that are used to long hours, used to fast pace and a change of technology, and are willing to learn and adjust as the demands on the industry change. But we did find that 95% don't actually give qualified candidates the option to schedule an interview right away. And we know from developing high volume hiring solutions and working with our customers that giving frontline and hourly workers the ability to get through the application process and immediately understand if they're qualified for the job and have that next step scheduled out is a powerful way to speed up high volume hiring.
Yeah, especially in the era, we know a lot of the manufacturing clients and plants are in these industrial parks, and people like to hop between different plants and different manufacturing facilities. So giving the candidates the option to self-schedule an interview in an automated fashion is really critical to getting the candidates in the door and getting them boots on the ground very quickly. So let's go on and talk a little bit about transportation and distribution, Bill. So as we were doing our research, we found that only 11% of companies had a chatbot in the transportation and distribution sectors here, and that where they could just ask basic questions and get a little bit of information on the company. We know that is really critical in helping the candidates just be able to ask a little bit about the culture, or whether that be shift scheduling, or whether that be what you pay per mile for CDL drivers. It's just really critical to be able to answer those questions for your candidates. We found that 90% or 95% allowed candidates to search for jobs based on professional certifications, including drivers and warehousing roles. You can search based upon if you have a CDL, if you have a forklift driver's license, if you have any sort of potential certifications. So that was definitely a bright spot in this, that helping your candidates match to the right jobs is critical. But we found that only 5% of you used search capabilities like type ahead, contextual search, or even relevant suggestions based upon keywords to help your candidates find the right jobs. Or that it was very basic and it was a little bit manual for the candidates to be able to have to filter through, go page by page to find the right positions. So definitely an area of opportunity there. And then we found that 21% of transportation companies used assessments to screen frontline candidates. We know that assessments is a way to help us filter and be able to really sort those candidates to get the top fit candidates in front of your recruiters or your managers as quickly as possible. So assessments is definitely an area where there's a lot of white space in the transportation and distribution industry. So We we were really excited to go through some of these insights and really kind of see the differences industry to industry and how that was really relevant for different types of companies. But Bill, we've had several questions. There's one in the Q&A talking about our audit methodology and kind of our scoring.
Yeah.
So you want to get us started there?
Absolutely. And I'm excited for people to see the full depth of everything that we went over. We actually measured companies on 62 different questions and criteria as we went through the entire candidate journey. So let's jump into what our audit methodology was and how we measured companies. So we selected 101 companies across the 5 industries that we just gave you a sneak peek into, and we really wanted to focus this on the high volume hiring process. So we stepped in and tested the end-to-end hiring by becoming a candidate ourselves. And we wanted to try and apply to frontline and hourly jobs at each of these companies to try and trigger as many automation and high volume hiring features as possible. We wanted to see how fast we could get from job discovery and matching straight through the screening process and see if there was scheduling or an opportunity to take an assessment or get through to actually getting the job. So how did we measure the companies? Let me find the right button here. So as we measured the companies, we wanted to make sure that we were providing information through a report like this that provided clear guidance on improvement opportunities based on the way that we were measuring companies, that gave you that industry point of view and talked about and addressed the challenges that are unique to each of the industries, because one industry is facing very different needs, from a driver or forklift operator to a restaurant industry who's looking for front of house, back of house staff. And there's different challenges with attracting and hiring those people. We wanted to focus on achieving speed in hiring and tools that would help with that efficiency, both at the hiring manager level and at the recruiting level, if you have recruiter support for hiring frontline workers at all of your locations. And we wanted to talk about the technology and how it's evolved and the impact that technology will get, how technology will get you to that next level of maturity when it comes to adopting AI and automation. So we'll go to the next one here. So this is a sneak peek at what we measured the companies on. We looked at their ability to attract frontline workers through a career site, through the chatbot. How engaging was it? What kind of tools and videos were there to explain what the company is like, what their culture is like? How does the company actually engage with a frontline job seeker? And how does the process work as you go through the entire application? What tools are there to get someone who's looking for a job and may be interested and getting them to actually complete the application? What barriers have been removed that we know from experience and from talking to all of you in these different industries derail the hiring process and have the highest point of where job seekers drop out? And then what features are companies adopting that we know are key and critical when we're talking specifically about high volume hiring? What are the chatbot capabilities? Is there an ability to schedule an interview? Is there an ability to do a one-way interview or take an assessment without having to wait for an email to come in or switch to a different platform in order to do that? And those are the things that are reflected in the way that we actually scored all of the companies in the report. So for each company score, the highest score that was available was 335. We categorized every single company in 5 levels of maturity using this brand new method called the high volume hiring maturity matrix. So let's give you a little sneak peek at what that looks like too. Basic is companies that are still largely manual, that are scoring well below their peers in the industry. The good news is we had no one out of 101 companies that wasn't doing something with AI and automation. No one fell below the emerging level in our audit for this report. Emerging is where people are just starting to adopt that technology. We had companies that are starting to show potential. That's the next one. The next level is developing, and that's from about 100 to about 154, and that indicates more adoption of technology and progress in the maturity of using AI and automation in hiring. And then we have advanced, and finally, transformational, reserved for the companies that are doing more end-to-end high-volume hiring technology that uses AI and automation to really speed up the entire process and help make hiring large numbers of employees better for both the recruiters and hiring managers. So let's dive into some more of the results. I think from a bright spots perspective from across high volume hiring, we found some very surprising stuff. There was actually 65% of the people that were in the audit for this year that allow a candidate to go through the application process without creating a username and password. That is light years ahead of where this was only a few years ago. 54% of the companies in our audit reached that advanced or transformational level, showing that while the ones in each industry that are investing in technology are standing out well above their peers, there was a much higher number that reached that fourth or fifth level of maturity than we expected. And like I said, there were 40% of companies that have a chatbot engaged on their career site. But it was interesting. We expected that there weren't quite as many people that had that automated interview scheduling piece. When you have 1/5 of companies that are a part of these 5 industries that are investing in automated interview scheduling, it really starts to change the experience for frontline and hourly workers. So what were some of the things that we noticed that didn't go so good? There was 95% of the companies that were out there that because they don't have a chatbot or because they have a chatbot that doesn't have the capabilities, they don't offer any automated interview scheduling at all. There were 83% of the companies across all 101 companies that we audited that don't have the ability to speed up that information sharing step by putting a chatbot in place that immediately says, "Are you interested in this job? Great, let's get started. Throw your resume in here to tell me about yourself, and I'll tell you which jobs are the best fit for you." And we also saw that 79% of companies that we audited had no assessments at all during the screening process. We found that as the process went along and there was follow-ups with companies, that there were some assessments that were done later on in the hiring process, but the really key part of assessing someone for that behavioral and cultural fit right at the beginning of the application process just wasn't seen very widespread. And then finally, perhaps one of the technologies that is the biggest opportunity for companies to really stand out is the ability to do one-way interviews. 99% of the companies that were in the audit this year never offered the opportunity for someone to leverage that. Here's 5 questions. Record the answers to these questions and tell me a little bit about yourself. That makes it so much easier for hiring managers to screen candidates and for candidates to really show why they're the best fit for a particular role. I think that's a great opportunity for people to advance and to stand out from their peers.
Yeah, and I think it's really important, Bill, just if I can chime in there. We know usually the argument on that is my candidates don't want to record an interview. There are lots of audio only options that we have in development and available that could really optimize this for your candidates where they don't have to come on video while they're in transit or on a bus or, in a place that maybe isn't quiet, that there are just all different options. So it's definitely an area of exploration and a good area to leverage some of the different features here at Phenom.
Yeah,
Sorry,
great
Bill.
addition. No, that's great. So overall, we wanted to share a little bit about how companies ranked. Like I said, we had no companies in the 2025 report that were at that basic level, and that was really encouraging. That we're seeing lots of companies starting to take steps to automate and to take advantage of AI. From an emerging standpoint, we had 5 companies that reached this level that have really started making changes, but have a lot of work to do to really transform the way that frontline job seekers are applying for jobs and getting hired. It was a really nice bell curve when we did this report. 64 companies out of 101 are in this developing stage where they're starting to see the impact that AI and automation can have on their businesses, but there's a lot more specific features and functionality that they have an opportunity to deploy. And then, like I said, we saw more people in the advanced and transformational categories than we expected. And it's really awesome to go through and see how these companies compare to each other, and then to go and seek them out and look at their career site and say, wow, yeah, this is amazing how this experience is tailored from end to end with this frontline speed of hiring in mind. So can't wait for the report to come out, and you can really dig into these numbers and you can see all these different companies and how they ranked in the report. But we don't want to end this call without giving you a little bit of information about the recommendations, about how someone moves from one level of the maturity ranking to the next, because that's a key part of the report. We don't want to just share this information and then say, well, and not tell you how to fix it or how to get better, right? So from a recommendation standpoint, I think if you're at that developing stage, which is a huge portion of the companies that we saw in the audit this year, you want to really try this, to invest in tools that are allowing you to streamline that scheduling and screening process. You want to automate interview scheduling. You want to leverage chatbots as much as you can so that you can engage with candidates via text message or on a career site, or even have someone that can scan a QR code and start the application process right then and there. You can find the perfect fit that matches with your goals of creating experiences that your customers remember by including the behavioral assessments and some of the advancements around that to find the right people for your company. If you're at the advanced level and you want to move to transformational, I think some of the stuff that we found was that you can optimize that candidate journey by really talking about what are all the different ways that I can engage a job seeker. How can I take more of an omni-channel approach and be able to engage candidates via SMS, via the chatbot, via recorded interviews, via audio-only interviews? How can I schedule people for large group events in an easy way without having to go all back and forth and schedule individual people? That's really powerful technology. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I think removing that necessity to have a username and a password is so powerful when you can have this kind of engagement at the beginning of the job hiring cycle, and then ask for that at the end. You're capturing information even if someone doesn't complete the application. You're making it as easy as possible for someone to convert, and then you can capture their information as you move forward. And for people at the transformational level, you'll see no one in the report was perfect. No one got to that 335 score. There is opportunities even for people that scored the highest in our report to innovate and lead, to find ways to continue to take advantage of developing technology and really embrace automation, create custom triggers, create workflows that benefit all different parts of your business, and take that process of recommending jobs and finding the matches and put it on the hiring managers too, because across these industries, the people that are hiring and interviewing these frontline workers are the ones that can really benefit the most from this automation and from this technological advancement. So I know we're running a little short on time, and I wanted to leave some time to speak directly to our attendees and answer some questions. So Cassie, why don't you jump into a little bit about how to improve high volume hiring and what that technology really looks like from the way that Phenom is developing it to help our customers?
Yeah. So here at Phenom, we are really focused on really 5 aspects of assessing your candidates and automating your candidate experience, as well as at the same time, you're optimizing your recruiter's efficiency. The first is really AI powered resume screening. So really matching the candidates with the right jobs or being able to take them through a screening process. There are really 2 ways of doing this. We offer a guided job search where candidates can answer some questions, get to the right job, the ability to upload a resume if they have one to match them to the right job. And then we take them through not AI powered screening. We go through an automated logic based tree that we partner with you to develop. But we identify of those candidates, we ask them a series of 5 to 8 questions on average, and then use those questions to identify your highly qualified leads. That really leads us into automated interview scheduling. We know, and what we have found is we don't want to offer interview scheduling to everyone that comes through the door. This will overwhelm your managers. I would say, let me back up and say, in most cases, you don't want to offer automated interview scheduling to every candidate, but you want to offer interview scheduling to the right candidates. So those who match the job, who answer the screening questions in a way that is right for your company. It's not a blanket approach. It is not a peanut butter spread across all retailers or all healthcare companies either. We partner with you to develop those screening questions and schedule those highly qualified leads and get them in front of your managers or your recruiters as quickly as possible. The third aspect is chatbots. We are finding that most of you that have frontline high volume positions, your chatbots, when you have them, are heavily utilized. We start seeing a pretty big swing of those who engage with the chatbot. Candidates want to be able to ask questions. They want to know what your culture is like. They want to know what the pay rate may be. They want to know what the shift schedules look like. And all of those are, self-service in your chatbot, and you're able to engage. So having a chatbot there to support your candidates is critical, whether or not candidates choose to use it. You give them both options. So the fourth is it has to be mobile friendly. You have to have mobile friendly applications. Again, we are seeing that trend really swing, that we have candidates that they're using their phones on the go. They're waiting to pick up their kids from a soccer practice, or they're picking up their daughter from band practice. That is my life these days. They're on their phones. They're looking, if they're applying, they're doing it on the fly. Very few are sitting down and intentionally for an hour going on their laptop to schedule interviews or to put in applications. So it has to be mobile
And
friendly.
we're seeing this in other industries too, like especially in healthcare. I mean, we're talking about high volume hiring, but we also know that this technology is so important for those critical high in demand roles too. If you have tools like this that are deployed that can allow a nurse to end a 12-hour shift at 5 a.m. and go and find a new position, when normal recruiting teams are still asleep, that is so powerful. It's like having a recruiter that works 24 hours a day that can engage with candidates, make sure that they're the right match, and move them forward as quickly as possible. Sorry to interrupt. I just had to inject.
No, and that's exactly right, Bill. We know a lot of you too. What we see since COVID is You are leaner on recruiters. We've seen a decrease in experience level just across all industries in recruiting and recruiter experience. So that's why it's even more critical to have those chatbots, those optimized tools that can support your recruiters and take some of that lift off of them so that they don't have to do a bunch of administrative tasks. And recruiters can do what recruiters do best, which is build relationships with candidates and evaluate and screen candidates. So really excited about that. The other is assessment tools, being able to add in tools that will assess your candidates quickly, get them through the process, and give you more information on who your highly qualified candidates are without lots of recruiter intervention. It also gives the candidates the ability to get a sneak peek into the job. With our Phenom assessments, I'm going to plug them for just a second. You get the ability to add custom content and video or imagery that give your candidates a little bit of a peek into what may be like. If you are personal care aides going into homes, you could show pictures with dogs coming up. We know that that's a big reason that people decide not to move forward with the jobs or that they quit after the first few days. So you give them a sneak peek early while they're assessing. So it's kind of that it's mutually beneficial for both. I'll quit plugging assessments tools now, but assessments are really critical in optimizing and really curating that top tier, highly qualified pool of candidates. So,
thank you so much, Cassie. And so we absolutely want to, continue this conversation. We want to show you how these technologies could be deployed in your specific situations to address your specific challenges. And we want to ask your questions about how can this speed up your process? What kind of metrics are we seeing from companies that have taken this approach and have deployed them? There's some case studies in the report. We absolutely can engage with you and have these conversations and do a demo of what Phenom solutions look like. But we want you to join this high volume hiring revolution. So if you get out your phone, you can point your phone camera directly at these QR codes, and there's a couple of things that you can do. The report is going to come out in the next couple of days. And these insights and the statistics from the report are so powerful in helping you gauge where you're at and where you can go. So definitely register for the full report. And as soon as it releases, you'll be amongst the first people that we will send it to. We want you to also think about how we can give you the insight that we're providing to the 101 companies that are named in the report. If you're not one of those companies and you want to understand how we view your high volume hiring process from a job seeker point of view, sign up for a custom audit. Point your phone at that middle QR code. We are more than happy to do this same effort that we did for this report to give you insights that are specific to your own organization. And then while you're waiting for the report to come out, we've also created a brand new high volume hiring playbook that gives you strategies and ways to execute high volume hiring from the very beginning of ideation to actually putting it into motion and beyond. It's a quick, easy read. It's a PDF that you can download. So point your phone at that third QR code to download that one while you're waiting for the full State of High Volume Hiring report to show up in your inbox. So that's my plug about joining the revolution. I know that we have about 10 minutes left here. Cassie, you were answering some questions while I was going through all of the details of the report in the chat.
Yeah.
Did you see anything about the report that I could address when some of those questions were coming in? Maybe I'll pull up the Q&A and see if there's anything here. Go back to some of the earliest ones that came in so that we don't miss anyone.
So I do want to maybe chat about, there's been several questions about AI scheduling and concerns about candidates, will they or won't they? And I did want to address that we do find that when it's delivered in line and it's not reliant on someone triggers it, it goes to an email address, the candidate has to go to the email address, find it, come in, etc. We find that when it's delivered completely in line, which means they complete the screening, the application, however you set it up, and then move into interview scheduling all on the same screen, we see about 70 to 80%.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's on the screen. They don't have to go anywhere else. The biggest hurdle for frontline is anything that's email centric and having to bump out to email to go find something. I know for me particularly, it's the holiday season. There's a ton of coupon apps and advertisements in my email. I miss emails all the time. It's the same with your frontline. So definitely something that we see. Bill, I think you addressed, there were questions about the scoring and kind of the matrix there.
Yeah. I was going to say there's a question here that talks about an all or nothing approach. I think a lot of people are holding off on putting this technology in place because it's just not the right fit for some of their corporate roles, or there's some jobs like they don't want this kind of level of automation for a critical role where maybe there's only one team leader. So who was it that asked this question? Stuart asks, so is there an option to turn off and turn on high volume hiring for individual jobs, for seasonality, for particular roles, stuff like that? They also want to make sure that as a huge number of people come in and their recruiters or hiring managers' calendars are full, how do you put a pause on that when there's this amazing response to this new experience? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. So part of that starts with asking the right questions on the front end. Those of you who are either implemented or implementing that have had me on your calls, I'm sticky on that one. So first you ask the right questions, right? You want to offer scheduling to the highly qualified candidates and be able to filter through. The second there is really focusing on one, putting some limits in. So we have the ability to add things like a candidate can only auto schedule one interview every 7 to 14 days. Or we can put limits that say only the first 15 can auto schedule. Everyone else is held for review. So definitely some logic, things that are configurable for each client. And most of those are configurable based upon the workflow. So if you say just these 4 job codes we want to auto schedule, we can do that. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing approach. It can be specific to particular jobs. We do have the ability to have a toggle in the hiring manager portal that is live today, that managers can toggle off the AI scheduling once they meet a certain threshold. So if you already have enough candidates and it's seasonal hiring, you can turn that off. You can also unpost the job and it will turn off any sort of candidates coming through. We are working and evaluating some options for that to be in the CRM. That is an enhancement that is coming. I think we have that planned for Q1 of this next year. So lots of options there. What we do is we partner with you to figure out what is the right level of parameters to keep your recruiters' calendars from being just inundated with interviews and it being a time suck instead of an optimization effort.
Yeah. Michelle Evans asked about video interviews. And I think, Michelle, we have a link directly to a little teaser video about high volume hiring from Phenom. We absolutely can schedule a demo and we can show you how one-way interviews, how video interviews works with X Plus screening from Phenom. It's integrated right into the chat. You have the ability to hype them up and share instructions. They can click record and give a 2-minute answer without leaving the chatbot. There is all kinds of capabilities to make sure that if you have screened someone in the chatbot, if you have matched them to the right job in the chatbot, and you want to go a little bit further and find out if they have the right personality, that they match your culture, that kind of stuff, and have them record answers, you can kick it off without having to send them to a single other place. It's really amazing to see it in action. So I don't know. I think we've addressed all the questions in the Q&A. There's a lot more interest here in the actual chat too. Let's see, statistics.
Just a quick shout out to Gus for answering questions on our behalf. Gus at Driven Brands is a fan. And so Gus, virtual high five on that one.
I love it. So definitely sign up for a complimentary high volume hiring audit. Register for the full report and follow up with us afterwards. Schedule a demo or a conversation where we can look at your entire hiring process and identify ways that you can automate. We'll have that automation conversation that we like to offer to our customers. Dig into what strategy is right for you and what kind of approach you should be thinking about. And I see, Stacy, you would like a copy of the high volume hiring playbook. Definitely click on that QR code and register for it, and it'll automatically pop up, and you can download the PDF directly to your phone or directly to your laptop.
Yeah, Bill, I just had one quick chime in reviewing some of the questions. It is also possible, if you all wanted to pilot this in 1 or 2 or 5 locations, depending on what works for your company, we have lots of companies that will do a test and learn on just a few locations. It doesn't have to be the same job code for every location across the US. For hospitals, if you wanted to try one department or one section of nursing, or, Gus is piloting at a couple of locations to go through AI scheduling, we can do that for you. We can start it in a few locations, and then when you start seeing the value, because we know you will, we can expand that to more locations and take a slow roll approach to it. So that is also very much an option to you all.
Well, we hope this was informative. We hope you're excited to see all of the details in the report when it comes out. Thank you so much for joining us for this sneak peek today. We look forward to doing these custom audits and bringing more insights around high volume hiring to all of you in the future. Cassie, thank you for joining and for providing your expertise around the product and how we're changing the speed of high volume hiring for our customers. I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, just one quick thing, Bill.
Sure.
Yes, we had a question, how should we partner with Phenom to get the information? Reach out to your account manager. They will get you connected with the right people, with my team, with whatever teams are relevant, and get you well on your way.
Yeah, that's great. We'd love to continue the conversation for sure.
Awesome.
All right. Everyone have an awesome Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Can't wait to hear your feedback about the report when it comes out. And I guess we're right around the corner from Thanksgiving, so we have a lot to be thankful for when it comes to technology and high volume hiring. Can't wait to talk with everyone more. Thank you so much.
Thanks, team.
Bye.